Hello everyone, here's what's coming up tonight on Storm Center Now. Here we go again, another snowstorm. Keith is tracking the totals.
Plus, all this snow is canceling school across the state. How will high schoolers deal with the change to the national walkout tomorrow?
We're not going to deliver on Saddleback. Saddleback was always going to be tough.
An audio recording sent to News Center Maine offers insight into what has gone on behind closed doors with the delayed sale of Saddleback Mountain.
This is Storm Center Now.
Our business is just indicative to the ski industry.
It's been tough without them.
Absolutely deserted. You come down off the mountain and go to a restaurant, you'd be the only one sitting.
Somewhere around 25 to 30%, of our winter business.
And cut back staffing.
Without that, we suffer greatly.
A News Center Maine investigation. We are following the latest on the status of the ownership of Saddleback Mountain. We are going to have this story coming up in just a few minutes. For now, hello everyone, good evening. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg. The snow and winter back with a vengeance. The third storm in less than a week and a half, and Maine is getting hit hard once again.
That's right, we're out on our weather deck. We are out here in the elements. Keith Carson, he's on the mid-coast where he's also out in those elements. Keith, what do you see there?
Well, guys, out here it's been about the winds over the past hour and a half. So the snowfall rates have decreased as they have in Portland. You can see there on your studio shot that I just saw. But the winds are picking up in reaction to some of this lighter snow. Let's take a radar tour though, because this is a very have or have not storm so far. Now everyone will get there, so to speak, but at the moment there's some really heavy bands and some much lighter bands. Now I've dropped the radar algorithm that shows you if it's rain or snow because we know it's all snow. This allows us to see better where the stronger banding is. Look to the northwest of Leeds, look into Freedom, New Hampshire, along 25 and then out to Sebago. It is throwing down snow there. Meanwhile, in reaction to that, sinking air on either side of that band. So look towards Harpswell, where I am in Bath as well, up into Boothbay Harbor, and then into down East Maine. That's much lighter snow, almost stopping at the moment in Bar Harbor, and they will get a break as the heavier bands move through Waterville right now and towards Dexter. Meanwhile, in the mountains, it's generally lighter snow. They're not into the heavy stuff quite yet. And they may never really get into these huge bands of snow, but they don't have to. They'll make up for it with the amount of time that it's going to be snowing, continuing through tomorrow and then also into Thursday morning into some of the higher terrain. Meanwhile, across northern Maine, parts of Aroostook County have yet to see a flake. That is closing in on them very quickly, though, as the snow shield moves in. And of course, they'll be a little bit later down the run, and they'll be dealing with that storm through the day tomorrow and again into Thursday morning. If you look down into Massachusetts, it's amazing. This band that goes all the way back into Standish and then up into Raymond and into Freiburg, that band actually goes down into 495 in Massachusetts. They're getting snowfall totals close to 20 inches from that band. So it has promise, and as it sets up here, you'll see it continue to rip snow. So the coastline getting a little bit of a break. It won't be that long-lived, though. Eventually, we will get that band to rotate back towards the coast as that low gains latitude, and then things get a little bit dicier here along the coastline later tonight and into tomorrow morning as well. So, Lindsay and Chris, we're continuing to watch the mid-coast area. I still think we're going to end up with some big totals here. Right now, though, the heaviest action, as it often is, right, is as you head out on 302 towards Sebago Lake and into the Bridgeton area where it's just throwing down heavy snowfall.
The buyer of Saddleback Mountain won't lose any sleep if the ski resort doesn't open. That's according to an audio recording sent to News Center Maine by a former contractor of the Magella Group of Brisbane, Australia. We've been covering the Saddleback sale for months. The community is counting on a revitalized resort to turn the economy around. After 3 ski seasons of idle lifts and slower tourism in Rangeley, Australian developer Sebastian Mansour promised change.
We're not going to deliver on Saddleback. Saddleback was always
the premier ski resort in North America.
And And locals were hopeful the economy would be revitalized this winter after being told in June the mountain would open to some extent. 8 months later, Mansour hasn't produced the money to close that sale. It's important to point out that we don't know financially exactly what's been going on behind closed doors. This is a private sale, and neither side is talking. This audio recording we received is from September. It has been authenticated by 2 other Majella employees who were in that same staff meeting. Take a listen.
We're not going to deliver on Saddleback. Saddleback was always going to be tight. The Saddleback, we have never promised to actually deliver the lift this year. We're still going to try. I'm going to be on the phone to Saddleback owners this evening. We are going to try and close early on Saddleback. I don't have to close till December 15th. We're going to try and do it earlier so I can get the lift going and whatnot. Now, I also just want to point out that opening the mountain in Saddleback for the Saddleback Resort is not a primary concern for us. Getting Saddleback is. The EB5 program is the reason we're actually doing Saddleback. The mountain and opening the mountain is something we'd like to achieve, but if we don't, we're not going to lose any sleep with regards to it.
6 months ago, Majella CEO Sebastian Mansour said the reason he was buying Saddleback Mountain was for the U.S. EB5 visa program. So what is EB5? It's the government's immigration investor program that lets foreign investors get permanent residency here in the U.S. In rural areas like Rangeley, if you invest at least $500,000 in a business that creates 10 U.S. jobs, you and your family become eligible for green cards. Other investors can chip in too, with the same guidelines, a $500,000 investment and 10 more jobs, and they and their families are eligible for green cards as well. We received more than 2 hours of audio recordings from Majella staff meetings. In that same September meeting, Sebastian Mansour announced the company did not have enough money to pay its employees.
We're an asset-rich, cash-poor situation at the moment. I have a very, very, very small amount of funds. We will be late for the first time on payroll for everybody this week.
We interviewed 2 former Majella employees and a former contractor who asked to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation by the company. They say they weren't paid from September until they quit in early December and still haven't been paid for those 2 months. We don't know if Majella payroll has started again since then. Our repeated requests to talk with CEO Sebastian Mansour have been declined or gone unanswered. We also offered to play this tape for the Berry family, the current owners of Saddleback who are still waiting for their money from the Majella Group. This is what Bill Berry told our cameras in June.
I hope it stays as a family mountain.
We told the Berry family we have evidence suggesting that the EB5 program is the primary motivation for the deal. Through their advisor, Chris Farmer, they declined our offer and our request for an interview. The former employees and contractor we interviewed did have a message for the people of Rangeley.
This is never happening with Majella.
And from our source who says he keeps up with the Saddleback community online.
Whilst that stays open, there's a glimmer of hope, and that just destroys any opportunity for another deal, the ability for another investor to come in and do something, the ability for people to move on with their lives.
Obviously, at this point, the mountain still hasn't opened this season, nor has that sale been finalized. We reached out, as we showed you, to Sebastian Mansour multiple times. He originally responded to us via email, but then stopped answering us when we told him we had an audio recording of an internal Majella staff meeting. Chris and Lindsay.
All right, Christina, thanks so much. We'll see how it plays out. The wind is whipping and the roads are slick.
Visibility was low earlier on highways. Now meteorologist Ryan Breton is on the roads of Portland checking it out. Hey, Ryan.
Well, Lindsay and Chris, it's not snowing that hard anymore, but I think I found the windiest spot in Portland. Take a look behind me. While the snow isn't covering the roads as much as it may have been earlier, all the snow on the ground is being drifted back onto them. So even when plows make a pass, they get recovered by any more snow that blows back onto the roadway. We ran into a bunch of people who are out enjoying what Mother Nature had to offer today, which obviously is a lot of snow and wind. Take a look. Guys, you're all decked out.
I'm just such a wimp. I don't like having the snow blow in my eyes, so I take advantage of the ski gear while you have it, and I don't know, just going out for a stroll, so gotta dress for the weather.
I'm right there with her. You know, you need the goggles to at least block your face from this snow that's just pelting. Now, this is a long duration storm, so while the roads at the moment aren't as bad as they may have been around 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon, they're going to remain a problem tonight, and even tomorrow morning's commute is going to be pretty dicey with more snow that falls overnight into the morning. That's the latest live in Portland. We'll send things back to you, Chris and Lindsay.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. If you're trying to leave town, chances are you are not going to get to your destination today.
The Portland Jetport canceled all remaining flights. The Bangor Airport canceled most of its flights today. At Boston's Logan Airport, more than 850 flights are canceled. Amtrak's Downeaster is operating on a modified schedule today and has canceled some of its runs. Blood donations are imperative for cancer patients. We'll hear from one who says he wouldn't be alive without them.
All this snow could change plans for many Maine high school students hoping to participate in the National School Walkout tomorrow.
While teens all over the country will leave their classrooms at 10 a.m., kids in Maine could have to push that back a few days.
With snow pummeling Maine, some students are preparing for a nationwide movement, hanging up posters and making signs for the National School Walkout, calling for stricter gun laws.
We need stronger gun laws to protect children as a whole, but it's really showing people that we can stand up for ourselves and make a change.
But a third storm in 2 weeks could close schools again, leaving some, like Yarmouth senior Eliza Brown, sitting on the sidelines.
We can't have another school shooting happen again. It's still going to be very powerful. I just wish that we could do it tomorrow.
More than 42 schools from the Berwicks to Bangor and beyond plan to observe those 17 minutes to honor the 17 people killed in the Parkland, Florida shooting. But there's one school district that says they'll be punished if they participate.
It's important to stand up for what we believe in.
Leah Burchell is a sophomore at Edward Little High School in Auburn. The principal sent home this letter, citing the student handbook, that walking out counts as cutting class and results in a 60-minute detention.
An hour after school will not affect the significance of this.
Other administrations like Yarmouth and South Portland are giving all students, regardless of opinion, a break during that time, even if Mother Nature pushes back the demonstrations.
And as long as I think we're taking it as seriously as we would on Wednesday, then the message still remains the same.
Some students that we spoke to say they still plan to hold the walkout even if there's a delayed start, and they will push back the demonstrations. More than 1.7 million people are expected to be diagnosed with cancer in 2018, according to the American Cancer Society.
Many will depend on blood donations, sometimes daily during their chemotherapy treatment. For some, it's not always a guarantee that the blood they need to live will be there. That was the case for one Maine man with leukemia who says he wouldn't be here today if it weren't for the generosity of strangers.
If you gave or anybody gave blood between July 2007 and 2009 and they're A positive, O negative, it could be your blood or their blood that's in my body right now that saved my life.
And we will share more of Arthur Bourgette's story tomorrow on News Center Maine. You can help by rolling up your sleeve and donating blood to the News Center Maine Red Cross Blood Drive Wednesday, March 28th. Everything you need to know to register is at our website and mobile app.
Coming up, Keith Carson has your full storm forecast next on Storm Center.
What's the board say?
Another day in paradise for him.
From northern Maine to southern Maine, this storm has all of the state in its clutches.
Tennyson Coleman is in Bangor. And Tennyson, how's it looking up there right now?
All right, well, the snow started to come down pretty hard over the last hour or so. Traffic has slowed down a bit. Visibility is low in certain spots. It took us a little bit longer to get here from where we were on Mount Hope Avenue, and I am standing on Main Street downtown in Bangor. As Jess said earlier today, we're expected to receive 2 to 3 inches of snow an hour, and I just want to show you the ground so you can see some of the accumulation here right now. Bangor schools will be closed tomorrow. The superintendent announced that a few hours ago. And also the city connector bus downtown will stop running soon, and it won't be back up and running until tomorrow afternoon. What do you think of the weather?
Love it. Moved up here from Texas about 3 months ago. No, when I got here, there was like a 12-inch drop of snow. The bombogenesis stuff.
So this is nothing new?
No.
You think it's great?
Yeah.
All right.
Thinking of Antarctica right now. Some people have it worse.
Oh, yeah.
Or better.
Now, I just want to mention that this time last year I moved to Maine, and this is what I was greeted by, and I'm starting to have a little bit of deja vu. Keith, I'm going to toss it to you.
All right, Tennyson. Yeah, this is what happens. At least you know what's going to go on for the rest of your time in Maine. You don't want to come here in July and then be surprised by what's going on. By the way, I was watching Tennyson on my phone here. That's why I'm ducking down. We're here in Bath, where it's really been about winds over the past 2 hours or so. You can hear them, you can sense them. They're 35, gusting to maybe 40 miles an hour at times. We're actually in a bit of a snow hole right now as far as accumulation goes. We're probably still stacking up a ½ inch or so an hour, but that's lame. If we're gonna do it, you do 2 inches an hour, 3 inches an hour. That's what's going on to our west right now. The coast will get back into some of these heavier snow bands though later tonight. And when you couple that with the winds that you could feel are coming through here, it'll be pretty gnarly later tonight into early tomorrow morning. It's just a timing issue getting through the mid-coast, and then down East Maine, probably 2, 3 in the morning might be the worst of this storm for them. In the meantime, just the winds kind of strafing through the area. And you know, a lot of times people ask about the official snowfall measurements. They don't really add up to what they saw in their backyard. There's a reason they do it a certain way with the board, clearing it, whatnot. It's because it's wildly different. If you go from one part of a field to another, you get everything from bare ground here at this park in Bath to about 1.5 to 2 feet of snow. So that's the only way to measure. Otherwise, it's just a total crapshoot trying to figure it out. So Todd, you know, I'm in a little bit of a snow hole right now. We'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully we can get back into some heavier bands. They're tending to be to the west right now.
Carson, you're not going to like what I have to say. 15 inches in Acton. So we missed the jackpot area for you again. I mean, we just can't get it right. We want you in that. We want you in that. Maybe next time. Acton, 15 inches. That's the max amount right now. Biddeford in Denmark, 10 inches. The Jetport just checked in, just shy of 8. And Hollowell up near Augusta's got a ½ foot. Down East Maine, really doing well, snow-wise, if you like it, along the coastline. Prospect Harbor, 10 inches, and Millbridge, 9. Machias, Winterport around 6, and Clifton, which is a little east of Bangor, if you head out Route 9. A few miles out there, they've got about 6 inches as well. The sun is going down, so we're losing this great definition, but I got to show it to you again. That counterclockwise circulation almost out near Sable Island, which is that little island right there, which gets slammed by powerful nor'easters all the time. It's amazing. This storm is about 400 miles away from us, the center, but the moisture is getting sucked all the way back by the upper level energy. And to get snow totals like we're getting with a storm that's 400 miles away, that's tough to do. It's all about this band. Keith was alluding to it. We call it a deformation zone. The atmosphere is getting stretched and pushed and all kinds of things in here. And the snow rates within this are coming down at about 2 or even 3 inches per hour. The heaviest of it within that band right now over Ossipee and Ossipee Lake and on up to about North Conway. Just getting crushed in here. And again, Acton down in this area, parts of York County, Shapley, Newfield, Parsonsfield, you all have double-digit snow already, and the storm has still got a long way to go. On the other end of that band, over near the New Brunswick border, interior Washington and Hancock County is getting slammed. Topsfield, this ride on Route 1 up to Danforth, looking pretty ugly right now. Now, the winds have been gusting up to about 35 miles per hour. If that can happen for 3 straight hours and the visibility is a quarter mile or less, we'll get ourselves an official blizzard. But that has not been verified yet from the National Weather Service. If and when it does, we'll let you know. 6 p.m. to midnight, the storm is peaking with these heavy bands still going strong. Tons of blowing, tons of drifting, awful visibility for driving. Midnight to 6 a.m., those heavy bands begin to shift northward. It's still snowing everywhere, but the wind is coming down a little bit. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, yep, you guessed it, still snowing, but lighter. And also some holes will start to fill in here as drier air begins to work into the storm and the storm starts to fill. During the day tomorrow, though, we'll still get some minor accumulation. And then during the day from noon to 6, everything kind of shifts north, tapers off, and we're much improved during the afternoon. So we've got a new jackpot area. It's right in here, parts of York County, Oxford County, over to the lakes of New Hampshire. At this point, I'd just say expect a foot of snow. You could end up with 2 feet when it's all said and done. Snow continues tomorrow. Thursday, clouds and flurries, 38, and then bright and blustery on Friday. Over the weekend, St. Patrick's Day, a lot of people excited for that. You're not going to be excited for the weather that's going to greet you on Saturday. Blustery cold, 32 degrees, and stays cold into early next week. In the middle of next week, there's a threat for another storm system then, too.
A lot of people asking about that today on Facebook.
That rumor's gotten out there, and it's not a rumor. Like, it might be, you know, kind of true here, middle of next week. But that's a long way off. Things can change. Wait and see. Sure.
All right, thanks so much, Todd. We'll look forward to it. We've got to take a look now at what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30 with Cindy Williams. Hey, Cindy. How's it going?
Guys. As you would imagine, we got a lot more Storm Center coverage coming up for you. We've got Jess Conley and Dawn Kerrigan and Chris Rose all standing out in the elements because we're just mean around here. We like to throw people outside, but we'll have all of the latest on travel conditions for you. And a lot of restaurants just didn't bother to open today, but there was one in particular that was just absolutely determined to keep the lights on and the doors open and the food coming out, and they say they considered it a service to their community. And guess what? The place was packed. Back to you.
I bet. All right, Cindy, thanks. Speaking of going outside, that's where we're headed when we come back. All right, for most people, another blizzard is a miserable thing, but for puppies, it's sometimes paradise. Pups on parade out in the snow.
This is from our viewer, Mary Young. Her dogs seem perfectly comfortable relaxing in the snow.
And this is from our viewer, Mary Jo Sheehan in Saco. Her 5-month-old pup, Remus, gets a little case of the zoomies when the fluffy stuff falls from the sky. As if on cue.
It's incredible. And my dog will go out and he'll hop around and play in the snow, and he's kind of scratches at the door, and he's got his belly covered in snow. And it's always fun to watch. And I was shocked the other day when he went out, turned around, came right back in. I was like, what the heck? You're supposed to play in the snow.
This is your opportunity. Get on out there.
This is our opportunity to kind of play in the snow.
Exactly. So, now I have to do it too.
Let's send things over to News Center Maine at 5:30. We'll see you later.